Let's go. We are so close to the start of the season, and our football card podcast is growing. So, what I want to do is for you to comment down below yes or no. Are you, and I'm challenging each and every person that is listening to this or watching this on YouTube, are you going to list 10 cards this week? Because now, Andy, the time is now. So we want people in the comment section, wherever you're watching, let us know. Hit us up on social media. Get out there, Andy, and list your cards. The time to sell is right now, baby. The hype is real.
At 100% real. Training camp has started a fire for a lot of players. We've already seen an injury pour some out for our guy Tim Patrick on the Denver Broncos. But as a result, we've seen Jerry Jeudy steamed up in demand and values. Cortland Sutton values are going through the roof right now. Go check the eBay sold transactions. eBay sold transactions tell an incredible story about how what happens in training camp and these mock games that they're having right now, the number one offense against number one defense, team playing their own team is steaming up guys in terms of demand. And it's a direct correlation with fantasy ADP, Carter, we talk about. These guys are steaming up draft boards because they're getting more opportunities share, because they're standing out in practice training camp. Well, the same thing is happening with their football cards on eBay.
So one name I just can't keep hearing about when it comes to the football card hobby. I heard it on a few national podcasts. I've heard it just, throughout. We talked about this card a few weeks ago. Jalen Hurts, right? And look, Andy, I say it all the time. You've always made money on Jalen Hurts cards, and this is yet again another. He's got this roller coaster downswing, where for a while his PSA 10 rookie base prisms were going for like $45 to $50 on auction, right? And now his cards are really hot. Andy, all the quarterbacks are really hot. Even though there's some people that think that there is a greater than zero shot that Joe Flacco could at some point be the quarterback of the New York Jets. Who cares? Zach Wilson could be the next Joe Namath. So, Andy, as always, quarterbacks run the market, and all these QBs are, when it comes to sales, it's just hot right now.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts is actually flatlined. He has not continued to steam up like we thought he would. Like guys like Zach Wilson right now, who have been having a great camp. Jalen Hurts has struggled. The beat reporters, the news that are coming out of camp is that he's struggling. But it's a back and forth thing. It's like, okay, look, but he's playing against an elite Eagles defense, elite Eagles secondary. But they're like, well, most of his passes are just going short, intermediate to AJ Brown. He's really struggling to get anything consistent deep going. There's also been a lot of designed runs for Jalen Hurts, and it's lacking a little creativity. So it'll be interesting to see if this is a little dip that leads to an explosion, starting off week 1 against the Lions, So it'll be very interesting to see, because we saw this last year with Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase. Now, I'm not trying to compare Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown to Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, but this is a similar instance to what we saw last year before the season, where their values had leveled off and they were suppressed due to bad reports coming out of training camp. And it'll be interesting to see if he plays this weekend in preseason. I imagine that he does, which I think will generate some hype, Carter. When I examine the sold eBay data after the Hall of Fame game, there were dozens of transactions for Jared Stidham on eBay. Jared Stidham rookie cards, including Amir Abdullah. Amir Abdullah actually had sales as well. Like, there was handfuls of them that was obvious that people were watching the Hall of Fame game. They saw what happened, and then they went onto eBay and made purchases.
That's so interesting to me. I could have sworn Jalen Hurts cards, I did not know they stagnated. I actually did not look at the data. I was hearing just from people saying that he was one of the hottest names in the National. This could be another period for you to actually might be able to buy. And look, the Eagles are going to win games this year, right? Okay. Number one offensive line, according to Brandon Thorne, one of the most well-respected offensive line academy, actually studies that stuff. He gets his best receiver he's ever worked with, okay? Now Devonta Smith gets to be a number 2. He's got good running backs. Eagles defense is fine, and their schedule is really soft. I guess I got to go buy Jalen. I guess there might still be a little window for me to find some cards here, but it is interesting, Andy. Outside of the 2020 guys, the 2021 guys are still really hot. There's still a lot of numbers. We do want to share that there is, and this has been a stat that's been floating around the hobby right now, over 1,000 Trevor Lawrence 1-of-1s, which is absolutely insane. So yeah, 2021 cards remain hot as well.
Absolutely. And the product's still being released, so there should be more 1-of-1s released in the future for Trevor Lawrence. I would say about 40 to 50% of those 1-of-1s are going to be printing plates, because think about it, for every insert and every photo variation that they have of a card, there's a printing plate for that card, and they also turn that into a 1-of-1. That's a 1-of-1. If you go to tradingcarddatabase.com or tcdb.com, you can pull up this data and filter between sets, or you can filter specifically by 1-of-1s. And that's probably how that person did this on Twitter is they filtered by 1-of-1s and looked at all the different 1-of-1s. And you'll go through and it'll say printing plate. Probably about every fourth or fifth one will be a printing plate. So, but that's a tremendous amount if you were to go back and look just 1 year prior. 1 year prior, I mean, we're probably talking about a fourth or a fifth of the 1-of-1s for Kyler Murray, number 1 overall draft pick from 2019 kind of thing, compared to what Trevor Lawrence has today.
So really quickly, a little tease. Later this week, we do have a very special guest joining us that is an expertise when it comes to breaking and super collecting a certain player, and that player is Justin Jefferson. So we're going to talk to one of my favorite card content creators, someone that you're pretty new to as well. And it's going to be a lot of fun, so be on the lookout for that. That's why you got to subscribe and keep up with everything that we're doing here. We got a bunch of fun stuff coming up for you on this football card podcast. And something that we're going to talk about on that episode is Select, with it being retail. I did see something very interesting, and maybe Andy, you could explain this to me. XRC. Are you kidding me? I think XRC, I love those cards, but are they really going to be in some of this Select retail? Am I reading that correctly?
Oh man, that would be unfortunate if they are. That's going to be another blow to the brand loyalty, the kind of the exclusivity, the respectability that Select has had over the years from hobby, because the XRC has traditionally been one of those cards that hobbyists, a lot of hobbyists, consider as the very first rookie card made for a player. Like if you look at Joe Burrow's XRC, that's from 2019. That's from 2019. And apparently those had 150 or less print run to them. Shout out to Andrew Perry. He was on our channel a few weeks ago, and that's one of his favorite inserts and cards, as well as Steve the Hitman from our live streams. And they love XRCs. And I just have a feeling if they go and mass produce this card, they're going to tarnish that brand just like they did to Select when they took it retail.
So XRC will be in hobby boxes. So 3 per case. Very interesting. So I must have misread. I don't think it's going to be in retail. XRCs are some of the most beautiful cards I've ever seen. They're just so cool. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. I'm still looking for that first Jamar Chase zebra print card. That's going to be my dream card until I own it, man. That's the coolest card I think I've ever seen in my life. So really excited about that. Andy, you and I are getting ready to sell our cars. In that you and I actually don't own cars, but if we did, we would sell it and immediately buy a box of Eminence. That's what we would do. All $30,000 of these Eminence boxes. And it's interesting. I see some of these cards 99 cent on eBay, 99 cent auctions, and I don't know. I guess I'm just not on fire about this product.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's probably because it's way out of your budget range, and you'll never be able to attain it anyway. So no sense in getting excited about it, right? But I look at it like this: like, I mean, this set is going to be extremely valuable because of these 6 relevant quarterbacks from 2021 that we talk about that are in this set, along with all those Hall of Famers. I mean, there's a lot of Hall of Famer only collectors out there. And so they've got those guys covered. They've got the precious metals aspect covered of it. They've got gold in there, silver in there. So you're going to attract people that are maybe coin collectors or old money collectors. Those people are out there. There's a lot of those people out there that will invest in those kind of precious metals over, stocks, bonds, other type of equities, and sports cards are an alternative investment. So when you combine those two together, and you talk about the quarterbacks that drive the hobby, and they're all incredibly hyped up right now. All those guys, Mac, Trey now, steamed up like crazy. Justin Fields is even getting some hype. There's been some positive press releases. Did you know that Darnell Moody's been spending the night at Justin Fields' house lately? So there's a lot of hype going on there. And so, but all these guys from 2021 are incredibly hyped up, and that's going to definitely buoy the value of that product. And if you're getting a bunch of it, the chances of you probably getting some of those quarterbacks and it paying off are probably pretty high.
I'm starting to feel more comfortable about saying all the 2021 quarterbacks are not going to be good, except for Justin Fields. And look, I think Trey Lance, it's going to be really hard for him to fail, right? That is one of, if not the best situation in all of football, right? Got one of the best tight ends, got a really solid offensive line, got really good wide receivers, got a wide receiver that is also a running back. You're always going to have good running back play, and you're always going to have elite play calling, right? And D'Amico Ryan's calling plays. So, Trey Lance is in a way better situation than arguably all the other quarterbacks combined. But I don't know if he's any good. Our sample is really small. We forget he only played one game his final year in college, Andy. One game in his final year of college. But I want to make a bold proclamation in the middle of this episode, because this isn't really a play of the week or anything like that. I know he went to Alabama, okay? And I know my name is Power Hour LSU. And a lot of people have always called me the anti-Tua guy, and I'm still standing by it. Have you read these reports about Mac Jones? That he's struggling right now. Once again, it's just training camp.
Yeah, so the initial reports that I read were that he had made big steps all off season. They showed the pictures of his body transformation, him losing the baby fat. And so the initial reports were great, but I have read recently, now they got the pads on, they're starting to play the defense and everything, that he has been struggling, which, I mean, I don't know. Overall, though, I think that the consensus is he's taken a step forward. It'll be very interesting to see. I was going to ask you, who do you think is going to be better long-term in the NFL, Mac Jones or Tua?
Man, I just don't like either one of them. I just don't. Like, a few things about both of them, both in the AFC, okay? Now, they both are in the same division with what I think everyone would consider the number one quarterback in Dynasty right now in Allen. Allen's in your division, right? Now, we don't know what the heck's going to happen with Zach Wilson. I thought Zach Wilson was really good. I said it, on the show before last year. He's probably just a guy. His biggest claim to fame is, tune in at 2 a.m. on Cinemax late at night. That's his biggest claim to fame. The truth is, the AFC is just too tough. I just think the quarterback hierarchy for me is just too tough for either one of those guys to climb. I just think Mahomes, Allen, and Burrow are so much better than those guys. And that does not include Lamar Jackson, who is also so much better than those guys. And he could potentially be, if he gets back to MVP level, better than all three of the guys that, are the consensus. And that, Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, um, and you get into Justin Herbert. It's too tough. And funny thing about it, Andy, is Derek Carr can still play. Derek Carr is still better than both of them. And Derek Carr has better weapons than both of them. Well, what about Tyreek Hill and Waddle and Gesicki? I'm going to say something controversial here. I would probably still take the Raiders skill guys. I would. I still believe Devontae Adams still has some gas left in the tank. I would take Waddle long term over any of those guys, but still, I just don't know what Mac Jones does really well. Um, a guy that respect a lot, Sharp Clark, thinks defenses started figuring him out. And I'm starting to, and I'm not a big Trevor Lawrence guy, but I'm starting to talk myself into thinking that Trevor is going to clearly be better than both of those two guys. So, for me, I guess I would say Tua, but I just don't know. And I think we can all agree that Belichick's best coaching is behind him instead of in front of him, Andy.
Yeah, and I think it's important to remember that the MVP narrative is closely correlated with the demand narrative that we see for football cards as the season progresses past the first few weeks. And the MVP narrative is very much driven by wins. And I just can't stress, like, over the past 2 years, I can't stress this enough that if the quarterback is playing well, but their team's not winning, their values are still going to go down into November and the beginning of December. Now, if they make a playoff push, then that's a different story. Once you get into the playoffs, it's kind of like, okay, fresh start. Now we're in the playoff hype cycle. You're in the playoffs. You're picking up steam again. Now, all of a sudden, if you can win, like this is exactly what Joe Burrow did last year. If you can win in the playoffs, the next round that you make it, you're going to continue to build hype, especially if you're younger and your playmakers are incredible. It's you're going to continue to build hype at that point. But I mean, you said it, man. The AFC is an absolute gauntlet, and you didn't even mention Russell Wilson in there, the Denver Broncos, and I mean, it's just crazy how much talent is in the AFC. It's insane, and there's only so many teams that can make it out of the AFC into the playoffs, and there's only so many teams that can start off their season 3-0 and be in that MVP consideration conversation and have their cards really being steamed up.
And we didn't talk about the Colts, arguably the best young RB wide receiver combo in the league. And it's just a lot. And Davis Mills, I think, is going to be decent. I don't think he's just horrible. I'll say this: I think Mac Jones is closer to Davis Mills than he is Joe Burrow, if that makes sense. So, I'm sorry. I know I'm power hour LSU. I know that. Okay. And it comes off as very anti-Bama. Shout out JJ Bama, but it's not. It's not. I know people's money goes into this, and every time I see a super collection, I collect what you want to collect. If you really like Tua, go for it. I hate what happened to him privately. He wanted to keep his marriage private, and obviously that got scooped. I hate that for him. I like Tua a lot personally. I know he plays the ukulele. I know he had the horrible hip injury. Tua, when I was doing radio, was the best high school quarterback I'd ever evaluated. And I thought he should start year one over Jalen Hurts in Alabama. I thought he was that good coming out, but the injuries changed him. He's not the same person. Show me, and I know what my inbox is going to be. And this happened a few weeks ago. In the football cards Discord, it happened in my DMs. Happened on Twitter as well for a few people that listen to this. You sent me two highlights from college, and I know what's going to happen now. Well, guess what? I'm going to show you this Tua bomb to Tyreek Hill again. Send it to me. I've seen them though, and it's not going to convince me that this guy is good. So we shall see.
Well, and they've got the Patriots week 1. So I think that this is a very important topic. I mean, I know it's very polarizing. but I get so many offers on my Tua Opticalo SGC10 every day. I'm holding firm on my 200 only because you're right. The bombs that he's making to Tyreek, the press cards that they're getting right now in Miami for this team heading into this season with Mike McDaniels as the head coach and all these new weapons is insane.
Insane.
This is arguably the most hype that Tua's going to have. I mean, if they don't beat the Patriots in week 1 and they don't start their season off strong, it's going to immediately tank his values. I feel very confident. Like, I don't feel as confident as you do because I didn't watch him play that much in college and I didn't study him like that and the injury and the soul and everything. But I see what the market has done the past 2 years with Tua and these other quarterbacks. And I can absolutely tell you, if they don't start off their season strong and beat the Patriots in week 1, then his values are going to go down.
It's not personal. It's not. And I hope he turns out to be great because I know a lot of you have put your money into the Cards. Okay. You do you. Now, and understand, I'm not mad. You do what you do what you want. That's just my my bold opinion on them. And also something else is cards don't always, or your performance doesn't always equal what actually happens to your card prices. Tua could play great, midway through the season, but the market could be down. So it is very, very interesting. So, yeah, and I look at the NFC, and I know it starts off tough, but I'm still a Kyler believer. Shorter quarterbacks that wear number 1 should be Kyler, not Tua that you believe in. So, for me, I still love me some Kyler Murray. I just do. He's special. He's going to win you a lot of fantasy leagues. And the bottom line is the dude can freaking play. Okay. But he doesn't have D-Hop. And have you seen the splits with D-Hop and not D-Hop? I've seen it. He still can play. And his cards are going to spike because the dude is going. And look, Kyler needs haters, right? He's one of these guys that loves having a chip on his shoulder. Now he's got haters. Oh, you don't watch film. Oh, you don't prepare. Oh, you got the big contract now. Let's do this, Kyler. Let's go, Kyler. Let's do your thing, baby.
Yeah, his market is very much down. I think some people also make the mistake of lumping 2019 rookie product in with 2020 and 2021. But there is actually a massive, massive difference between the numbers, the print run, the amount of different rookie cards, the amount of sets produced, the amount of inserts and parallels within each set between 2018, 2019 should be lumped together. And then 2020, 2021, when Panini really ramped up their efforts and took things to another level. So you have to compare Kyler Murray with his 2018 contemporaries, the counterparts like Lamar, Josh Allen, throw Baker Mayfield in there because he's now got that inside track to start in Carolina week 1 against his former team. There's a whole revenge narrative. You can see Baker's chart here steaming up, man. But the crazy thing is, you can get a base Donruss rated rookie, PSA 10. This card has a lot of transactions. You can get that right now. Kyler Murray, $60. Baker Mayfield, you can also get that for $60. So they are almost neck and neck, whereas Lamar's at $78.80 and Josh Allen's in another stratosphere at $250.
$250 for PSA 10?
$250 for a PSA 10 base Donruss Josh Allen.
And Lamar is at
about 100, like between anywhere between 75, 80, and 100.
Sheesh.
And you could see that Kyler market has kind of dropped over the past it's apparently like over the past week, really.
Makes no
sense.
And
I think that's Marquise Brown. Like, I don't know the whole investigative side, so maybe you can shed some more light on this, Carter, because you are a very good investigative journalist. Like, what's going to happen with Marquise Brown? Like, there's some people like, he's gone. And I'm like, but it was just speeding. They're just going to slap his wrist. And they're like, but that wasn't his first arrest. So I don't know what the full story is behind Marquise Brown. But of course, if you're out now, Brown and Hopkins for 6 weeks at least, then that's really scary. But I think that Brown's only going to get a slap on the wrist, Carter. I don't know what your
Yeah.
thoughts are on that.
Well, I'm not gonna get into a defensive driving class, but I will say this: we were driving back from a show, and how, like, there's 4-lane roads, and there's like this big old median, and like there's 2 lanes going one way and 2 lanes going another. Well, we were driving, on our correct side on the far right, and someone was driving in the opposite direction, going at least 70 this way on the one way, and we I don't know. If I would been in the other lane, I would have been head on. So please drive safe out there. I just wanted to say that, because that would have been, I might not be sitting here doing this wonderful show with you right now. Um, it's a scary thing. So I don't know what it is about driving really fast. There was a case with a high profile college player where this recently happened. So be safe behind the wheel. You don't have to do the 100 mile per hour thing. You're not
Even if you're
speeding.
late for practice, even
Even
if
if
you're
you're
late
late,
for practice.
even if you're late for practice and you want to get there in time to make sure Kyler's head is buried in his iPad studying tape. Um, but I don't know what's going to happen to Hollywood Brown. We actually have a patron, I won't say who, has bought a lot of Hollywood Brown product recently. Um, I'm still a believer in Kyler. I still am, just because. Not necessarily that I think he's good. He's exciting. He runs. He's got a cannon. He's athletic. Does he have injury history? Yeah, but he'll be fine. I still do believe in Kyler. Now, um, we now move on, and I'll say what I was about to say for play of the week. We are going to move on to hobby tip of the week. As we move along, here, Andy, I've got to just say this once again, and I'm probably going to say this for my hobby tip of the week for the next couple of weeks, and it's still our comment down below question: list your cards. I want each and every one of you to challenge yourself to list 10 cards this week. List 10. Now, if you only have a few cards and you want to keep them on your PC, don't do that. But a lot of you know that there's football cards that you've been meaning to sell. Go sell them. Okay. List your cards now. And Andy, we have not mentioned this in hobby tip of the week. We do get a lot of newbies that listen for the first time that are new to football cards. We want to make this as educational as we possibly can. So here you go. eBay sold items check. Okay. You see it in the bottom scroll right here. eBay football card market analysis. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you've seen Andy with this fancy graphs and stuff like that. Look, market movers and all these different graph services, they do help, but only if you're advanced, only if you've been in it for a while. But if you are new, the one question you always ask is, what is this Daniil Hunter card worth? What is this um, Patrick Peterson card worth? It's very simple. You pick up the card characteristics, you type it in the eBay search bar, and then you do sold items. So you scroll down, it's on the far left, click sold items. I know this is stuff that people that listen to this every week already know, but that is the one specific piece of advice that every single person getting into this knows or should know. Sold items checks, because that is what comps are more often than not, and that will give you information for how much that card is theoretically worth.
Yeah, great tip, Carter. Great tip. And I'll just add that the younger that player is that you're investing into, get them listed as soon as possible, especially if you're, considering them any type of investment, if they're in their college uniform, because that's the only thing available on eBay to buy of them. To get them listed immediately, because Prism Draft Picks is coming out in September. And it doesn't look like, I made this claim last week, Carter, that I was thinking Panini is going to correct their release calendar. We still don't have a date for 2022 Donruss. We still don't have a date for any 2022 product of these rookies in their pro uniforms. So that is something that may still be delayed. It looks like that's going to be pushed back to October at the earliest, because Prism Draft Picks is not coming out till September 16th now. So, one thing that Panini has done new this year, it'll be my hobby tip. They have released serial numbered Panini instant cards of rookies that went to the rookie premiere event. They took their photo, printed them, and had them autograph it. But those are very expensive. Like the Sauce Gardner is going for $250, Carter. These are cards that are numbered out of 50, numbered out of 100. They're very expensive cards, and there's not many of them out there. People are paying like Romeo Doubs on the Green Bay Packers, who's getting steamed up draft boards because of the incredible training camp he's having, is one of those guys. And it's incredible. There's very little, very, very little cards for a guy like that out there, and people will pay hundreds of dollars to get the only one that is out there.
The Romeo Doubs thing is very interesting. I didn't think we'd talk about him. But last I checked, he is wearing that Jordy Nelson number 87. I think that's right.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people like nostalgia. They just do. Rodgers to 87 yet again. People just like seeing that. It brings back the good memories of Aaron Rodgers, and he's still in his prime. But yeah, very, very interesting. Now, once again, Andy, just really quickly, go scroll down to the far left for those that want to know what the sold items thing is. Just scroll down.
I'm on sold items right now, but you scroll down the left-hand side, check box right there.
You just check box right there. That's all you do. So you type whatever in the search bar and you just go down. I need to do better of mentioning that at least a month, because that is a life-changing tip. I mean, it's the one thing you need to know about eBay when it comes to this hobby. $72.
Not even serial numbered here, Carter. This is a card from Chronicles. Does not have a rookie card logo. It just has a sticker autographed of Romeo Doubs in a licensed college uniform card. That's how hyped up he is right now. People are predicting him to be the next Jordy Nelson. Highly, highly unlikely. They're not comparable athletes, but he's having a great training camp. And the thing was, he finally got put up against Jair Alexander today, and went like he couldn't catch a single ball. Jair Alexander did not allow him to catch a single ball. So let's see. He's a guy though that's gonna get action in the preseason. So if he can burn some DBs in the preseason, there's so much ambiguity around who's going to be the leading receiver for the Green Bay Packers. Christian Watson's been injured. He's just now getting back. The veteran Alan Lazard, he's not like the flashiest athlete, but he has the best rapport and chemistry with Rodgers. Randall Cobb is going to be out there catching passes from Rodgers at the ripe old age of like 33. And Aaron Jones is probably going to be the leading receiver in this offense. But this is how desperate Green Bay Packers fans are for a star wide receiver with the departure of Devontae Adams.
This card is never going to go for $72 again.
Never.
I mean, goodness gracious. If that was you who bought the card, enjoy it. But if you're buying this for a quick flip, maybe you can get a hundo out of it. I don't.
Relist it ASAP.
And then Nevada too. Like, man, Romeo Doubs.
Limited supply, brother. This is the combination of limited supply. This is what tells you that the market is how sensitive it really is, because these guys, I mean, Romeo Doubs isn't all of a sudden becoming, if you were to compare this Origins autograph card to a guy like Deontay Johnson or Chris Godwin, or we even talked about your guy KJ Hamler, all those guys are going to see more targets, most like the 90+ percentile chance that they're going to see more targets this year than Romeo Doubs. But their cards aren't going for this expensive, especially cards in their college uniform, just because there's more supply out there. They've been around longer. but Romeo Doubs has very limited supply, and people are just grasping for straws at this point on a guy that's just being steamed up in training camp.
I'm just trying to just soak this in because, like, I don't know.
There's the card I was talking about right
Yeah,
there.
the Panini Instant. Okay, very interesting. Let's see this.
And the person that got this would have purchased this directly from the Panini website.
Interesting.
And there's only 10 made.
Comes in a one-touch sealed. Okay, that's kind of fancy.
So this is literally the only card that's out there for Romeo Doubs in a Green Bay Packers uniform. You see, there's not even anybody in the stands back there. This was a rookie premiere event photo shoot for the rookies, and there was an 8x10 of Romeo Doubs standing next to Christian Watson. They're both in Packers uniforms, and it sold for a crazy amount of money as well. And this was just like a photograph. And it was autographed by them.
I love football cards so much. I love the speculative nature of it. I really, really do. I don't think we'd spend all this time talking about Romeo Doubs. But now we do need to get into play of the week. For me, Andy, I still stand by this, okay? I know it's preseason. Ravens are about to play some preseason games. And obviously, Lamar's not going to play in all the preseason games. Now, I'm still a believer in Tyler Huntley, right? Look, we talked about his rookie card scarcity, and he really only has rookie ticket autos. And, every time I look, it still floats around 44, 75, 40, depending on if it was optic or not. And most of them are optic. But, he also has just regular rookie ticket autos, 40, 50, 40, whatever. He could play. That's all there's to it. He could play. Is he special? No. But if you want to make one of these speculative QB plays for like 40 or something bucks, why not? I don't know what his health is right now. I don't even know if he's going to play preseason or not. He might have been dealt from the Ravens, and I don't even know. I've not checked in on him in so long. But instead of buying Romeo Doubs for $70, I just always remember, God, Tyler Huntley's rookie ticket autos flow for around $50. This is a guy who, dueled against Aaron Rodgers, and a lot of people watched that game earlier this year. Is he special? No. Did his games kind of regress towards the end of the year? Yes. But he could still fling it. Like, he's still a solid quarterback. So, as my QB play, I know I should be talking about just the starters, but I do want to bring up Tyler Huntley. Now, someone else I find to be very interesting is DeAndre Swift. Look, I'm not in love with the Lions. I think a lot of their hype this year is around a lot of these viral videos. But the truth is, DeAndre Swift has Jonathan Taylor type of potential to be the overall RB1 this year. And if the Lions get it going, it's not just going to be because of great play from Jared Goff. It's going to be that DeAndre Swift is going off and doing special things, not only running it out of the backfield, but he's also a good receiver out of the backfield. Okay. Now, his cards, last I checked, running backs, I am about running backs. Still, I'm still drafting him a lot in fantasy. I think he could be a league winner this year. And DeAndre Swift to me is that good of a talent. So I understand they might not win a lot, but if a Lions running back does break out, once again, it's that nostalgia factor. When you think of all the greats for the Detroit Lions, think of running backs. You think of Barry. It's got that running back brand. So, for me, be on the lookout for DeAndre Swift. I think he's going to be special this year. I really do.
Yeah, I think the one knock on him is that he's got a smaller frame, and so he's got a little bit higher fragility rating,
He does.
and so I think that's the one hesitation. But I will say that there's definitely potential. There's a lot of DeAndre Swift fans out there. Definitely some DeAndre Swift. There's got to be some DeAndre Swift super collectors out there because I see some pretty impressive transactions. But you look on like his normal rookie ticket auto stuff, there's definitely some auctions that go undervalued. There's definitely some value there to be made if he stays healthy this season and he has a great season with Detroit, which we know he's capable of.
Let's let's do it, Andy. I'm ready to hear it, baby. Let's go.
Well, I'm looking at a few guys and just kind of scanning real quick because my mindset now, you look at the Romeo Dobbs story here, and if Isaiah Pacheco on the Kansas City Chiefs had rookie cards, you better believe it, they would be blowing up right now as well. Unfortunately, he was drafted in like the 6th or 7th round, so he has literally nothing. The only thing you're getting is a signed jersey from him. So I'm looking at other guys that are gonna get playing time in the preseason that have the ability, that have proven it in college, that are gonna make impressive contested catch, touchdowns, big plays, that kind of thing. So I'm talking about Drake London. Like, just go straight to the top of the NFL draft board. And I'm talking about Drake London. Atlanta Falcons have a massive market. They're also probably going to play Desmond Ridder in the preseason, who's a rookie quarterback. That was the first, after the Pitt Steelers took Kenny Pickett. Like, he was drafted before Malik Willis, Sam Howell, Matt Corral. He was drafted before those guys. And so he's going to get playing time. Drake London's going to get playing time, and Atlanta fans are going to get the first glimpse of the future of that franchise. And don't be surprised if Drake London goes out and makes some incredible catches, some big touchdowns, puts up some big highlights with Ridder, and Falcons fans go crazy here in the preseason. So I'm getting into that instantaneous flip mindset of who can I target low now, because they've had a very quiet camp. We haven't seen the big flashy highlights like we've been seeing from Romeo Dobbs, the Green Bay Packers, and has the ability to make some noise here in the preseason. You can make some money off those guys in a quick flip scenario. My play, I would call Drake London, man. Why not?
I like it. Drake London. I liked him coming out. I wasn't in love with them, but he was the first receiver off the board. A lot of those guys do turn out to be pretty good football players. So not as good as that last receiver that went first off the board, but they still turn out to be good. So I like it. I still think Kyle Pitts is going to be so good. I'm in love with this guy. I never thought I'd be in love with the Florida Gator, but this guy is just a monster. I know he plays for the Falcons too. Another double whammy right there, but still really interesting to see. Lots of good football card chatter. So we do have a special announcement. We made it early, but we're going to do it again. On Thursday, we do have a special guest. JJets18 will join us. He is a super collector, Justin Jefferson, which interests you a lot, Andy, because you hate the fact that football cards is just a quarterback-driven thing. And I also am a super collector of a non-quarterback myself, in Tyrann Mathieu. So if you are listening to this and you want tips on how you can build a super collection around, let's say, Jair Alexander or Patrick Queen, or just some other random player that's a really good player, but they don't play quarterback or whatever, he's going to give you a lot of very valuable tips. And he is also a breaker. So he's going to tell us what he thinks about the breaking aspect of the hobby. So be on the lookout for that on later this week whenever we do actually release it. And Andy, another great episode. We are one day closer. We got live football on the TV. It makes me feel so good, man.
Mm-hmm.
Ain't nothing better than that, baby.
Nothing better, man. No, this is it, man. I'm gonna go work on listing my cards right now.
Let's go.
Drilled it in my head, man.
Once again, comment down below. Are you going to list 10? At least get 5 up. I'm going to try and get 5 up in this next week. Heck, I got a wedding to pay for. And this KJ Hamler, immaculate number 299, sticker napkin patch auto is going to pay for the entire wedding. I believe it is. Until next week, we'll see you, baby. Peace.
Peace. What's up, dude?
Dude, I
You
am
looking
enjoying.
fresh?
Yeah, man. I got to see Kevin Hart on Saturday. Did you see that?
Did you open up for him?
Yeah, they made me open for him.
Get
No,
out of here, dude.
I'm kidding, dude. Do you really think I'm on that level?
Well, I saw the tweet of you going to see Kevin Hart, and then I saw you on the stage, like a tweet after that, or it was like part of that same tweet, and I was like,
No, that was a completely different. Do you think Kevin Hart's doing like a room this size of like 30 people?
You had your tiger shirt. You had your tiger shirt on, so I knew it was going down, man.
I knew it. Every time I wear that shirt, I go on stage. That's the only time I really wear that shirt. But yeah, no, it was great. Kev is the greatest universal overall comedian of all time. Now, that doesn't mean he's better than Pryor or Carlin or Chappelle or Red Fox, Lenny Bruce, Phyllis Diller, Carol Burnett. I mean, that's not what I'm saying at all. Not in the least bit. But there's people of every background, race, religion, there. And Kevin just makes everybody laugh. Now, that's not, I tell comedians this all the time. Don't try and be Kev, because there's only one of those guys. Be yourself. Don't try and if it's not you if that's not your style, don't worry about making everybody laugh. Because like, for instance, if we do a football card show, people that like football cards are going to like the show. We know our show isn't going to be, biggest podcast ever. We know it's going to be big one day because we're one of the only football card podcasts out there. But that's the thing, Kevin is one of one, and he was truly, truly, truly special. But after the show, I went the comedy club where the arena a comedy club where the arena was located is where I got my start. I went over there just to say hi to the owner, and there's another comic there, and he invited me to do a show that night. So I was like, yeah, okay. I hadn't been on stage in 2+ years, and I went. It was fine. It was fine. It wasn't spectacular. It was fine, though.
Is this on video anywhere?
I get asked that all the time. Actually, I did film it. Actually, Haley filmed it, but it's not releasing that. It said it's going to be terrible. Like, watching comedy on tape is different than actually being there. And at the same time, I'm not Bill Burr. I'm not one of these Michelle Wolf legends. But it was great, man. But outside of that, I'm feeling great about football cards. I think it is time for me to start listing. I'm not practicing what I preach, in other words. Gotta start listing, man. And
I'm on it. I've been listing. I'm swimming in a sea of cards. You can't see it. I literally have cards stacked up all around me. I'm afraid to move my arms too much. I might knock cards off the desk, but I've got everything out here in front of me that I need to list. And what I'm doing, Carter, is I'm testing out 4 different ways to list cards and seeing which one's the fastest.
Okay,
it's going to be a fun video coming out this week.
Okay, well, let's see. Buy it now, 99¢.
No, I'm actually talking about, taking the photo on your phone, start to finish within the eBay app, listing them that way, and then taking a bunch of pictures of cards and then listing them on your phone, doing it that way. So I'm testing out different methods of taking pictures on your phone, transferring to computer, using templates. Which way is the fastest way to list 100 cards, saying you're all doing buy it now on everything.
I'm interested. I really am interested because I've got to list this card right here. This guy is about to explode, partially because he's got a cool story. KJ Hamler right here.
Oh yeah.
Are you a KJ believer?
I'm a KJ believer. I watched his interview earlier today, learned more about his backstory, his grandma passing away. where the depths, the dark place that he was at. And you know what I saw in this interview? KJ Hamler has got a tattoo right here. Did you see this?
No, I didn't.
It says 1 of 1, just like it does on a sports card, dude. I kid you not. I was going to find this. I'm going to go back to the interview and find it and screenshot it because he's got a 1 of 1 tattoo right there on his shoulder and on his arm.
Well, do we know if he knows the football card connection?
I don't know. It looked so much like a 1 of 1 off of a sports card.
Well, what could have happened is, so like 1 of 1 is like actually a phrase that athletes use a lot now. Like, but I don't know if they use it in context of like cards, you know, because you're saying you're 1 of 1, and honestly, everybody's 1 of 1. There's only one you. And then and what probably could have happened is KJ Hamler could have gone to a tattoo artist and said, "Hey, I want a 1 of 1 tattoo." And that artist probably just Googled 1 of 1 tattoo designs or 1 of 1 designs and said, okay. Or he might have typed 1 of 1 athlete or something like that. And he probably saw that. I'm interested if KJ knows that or not. See, this is where we need football card beat reporters.
Yeah, dude, that would be awesome.
Also, this was kind of cool. There's this guy, fun Twitter follow. His name's Lou Janu. Okay. Lou Janu. I think it's Lou Janu, right? It just rolls off the tongue. Really sharp football card guy. And he is an Elijah Moore super collector. And he had this photo. I'll say
Elijah Moore is hot right now, man. I got and it's not my fault. Like, I know I've mentioned Elijah Moore in a couple of my top wide receiver videos, and this was before training camp started, just because of his reception perception from Brian Harmon. And you look at how dominant he was at Ole Miss, and you look at how good he is at beating press coverage and man coverage, and then he's had an incredible camp, and people love the Jets. They're excited about him. So his values have gone up big time.
So, okay, look, this is kind of cool. I want you to put this up on the screen. I'm sending it to you in the chat.
Okay.
I'm glad he got this opportunity. If you're a Jet super collector, so I forgot he works for Gary Vee. Okay, look at this. So he has
he got it.
I would love to get this guy on.
What?
Just that's cool, huh?
That is awesome, dude.
The 1 of 1 Elijah Moore auto, and that Elijah auto is iconic. It's iconic. Oh man,
he got the E Moore. Yeah.
I hope they ribbed Elijah about that auto, because the fact that auto looks like that is what makes the auto so great.
Yeah.
Can you imagine getting a 1 of 1 card and an auto looks like that? That would make, because most autographs are fine, right? There's some really, like, I know this is NBA, but like Jonathan Kuminga has like a very basic auto or whatever. I like bad penmanship. That reminds me of my penmanship right there.
Yeah, but at least it's like he I don't know. It's better than getting a Tyler Huntley autograph or a T. Higgins autograph, where it's like you would never, ever know that was their autograph, because it's literally like 2 or 3 lines, you know? Or Kadarius Toney's autograph. I mean, his autograph varies quite a bit too.
Kadarius?
Yeah.
I love me some Kadarius. But yeah, so like I was looking at this weekend, and I'm pretty certain that Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson are going to be the 2 best wide receivers of all time, which means I'm never going to be able to afford their autographs. So it makes me kind of sad, because I'm like one of these people that are like, well, I liked them before it was cool. So like I'm never going to be able to afford either one of those fine young gentlemen, unless, like I told you last week, I sell some of these big Tyrann Mathieu cards while his market is hot, and then I could buy a Jamar or Jets or potentially a Joe
You're just gonna have to pay up, man. You're gonna have to
That's
pay
it.
up for
That's
him.
basically it. I mean, look at Jamar Chase's Leaf unlicensed auto for a wide receiver.
Leaf makes a good card now,
Yeah,
Carter.
but that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not saying that they don't. I have a bunch of
But
Leaf.
it's still, yeah.
Yeah, unlicensed LSU card.
Like I've seen over 100% increases in Paris Campbell. I've seen demand
God,
demand increases. I'm looking at OJ Howard right now, for example, right? He's having a great camp, but he's still a tight end number 2 behind Dawson Knox. But he's the type of guy he's out there in a lot of run blocking scenarios. He's a tight end too. He's got some draft pedigree. But my point is that his 2017 Prism PSA 10 back in July and June was a $10 card. PSA 10 Prism, base Prism comes silver standard from 2017. Now that card is selling for $60 in buy it now transactions. Sold twice to 2 different days recently. Thursday, August 4th, $60. Friday, August 5th, $60. Back in June, July, that was a $10, $15 card. And that's what we're seeing across the board. Like, you wouldn't believe the demand spike I've seen for Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel. Now we're seeing it for Deontay Johnson.
after the contract, yeah.
Contract, man. Even guys like DK Metcalf, super hot right now. I mean, because it's like that draft hype cycle where nobody's lost yet. Nobody's lost. Everybody's just steaming up right now, except for the guys getting hurt. But then those guys getting hurt, like Tim Patrick tearing his ACL, done for the season. What happens? Jerry Jeudy's up 100%. Cortland Sutton is up like you would not believe. Cortland Sutton's rookie ticket autos now are like $100, dude.
And once again, I don't know if I'm ever going to sell this card because I just like this guy so much. Little guy KJ Hamler. Once again,
KJ Hamler. He's steaming up.
KJ, Penn State legend KJ Hamler.
And see, now he's steaming up, And so I think that football cards have become the most sensitive to performance-driven demand results in the football card market. I think it's way more sensitive than what happens in baseball. I'm not sure about basketball because I'm just not very knowledgeable, but from what I see, it's incredibly sensitive.
Yeah, and it's kind of the same thing, the initial, whole thing about this fantasy football card quest or fantasy football. I know it's more like football card quest, QuestCast and all that, but it's like fantasy football. In basketball, there's not really much fantasy because the games are just kind of scattered. Right now, if a guy drops 50 and has like a poster dunk, then maybe that has some fluctuation, or somebody hits 5 homers in a game or something like that. Maybe. But football is very performance-based. If a guy goes out there and wins you your fantasy league, I am more than willing to go and buy the card. It's just the truth of the matter. So, I could see this year become a little bit more performance-based. But we'll see what happens. So whenever you're ready, I'm ready. I'm fired up. I got my Alvin Kamara shirt on, and I'm ready to do big things. Let's go.
All right.
Here we go.